Dak Prescott, and sometimes Jason Brown gets me fired up. Jason, welcome back. I appreciate you doing this 2 straight days, but you texted me last night saying that Cooper Rush is better than Dak Prescott, and you're like the people at Preborn. You know how to provoke me. You know how to get me fired up. I can't even say I completely disagree with you, but the fact that you're willing to say it, I want to hear your explanation. Why do you think Cooper Rush is better than Dak Prescott?
As a coach, okay, as a coach, you see different things by coaches on the sideline when certain people are in the game. So compare Kellen Moore when Dak is in the game. Look at his antics, look at his energy, and then compare that to when Cooper Rush is in the game. A burden has been lifted off this man. He has no stress whatsoever. He's not supposed to be winning right now with Cooper Rush. The $100 million man put stress on Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore right now is running around on the sideline. He's hugging Cooper Rush. Have you ever seen him hug Dak Prescott? Have you ever seen him elated like he is right now? Because he has a no-win situation. He's in a no-lose situation as a play caller and as a OC. And I'm not a big believer in him as a play caller and an OC, but what I am understanding of is that is what the business entails. Now, I'm not saying Dak's not a listener or a leader or any of that. I'm not in their locker room. I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth. What I do know is, though, it is night and day from how he interacts with Dak compared to how he interacts with the guy making $100,000 league minimum. And he has no stress. He's living scot-free right now. And to be honest, Cooper Rush is more efficient. He is more accurate. He makes better decisions with his body, not his arm and mind, his body. Meaning he climbs the pocket vertically and he either takes off vertically or he throws the football away to live to fight another down. That is the precursor and prerequisite of a winning quarterback. Live to fight another down. Let's not turn it over. Let's not get sacks. Let's not take sacks. And let's not create an environment on the road that is a more hostile one than it already is. Because sacks make opposing crowds go crazy. Turnovers make opposing crowds go crazy. When you limit those things, you have a chance for success. And to be honest, what did he throw for? 30 times last night? He had a 75-yard touchdown drop by CeeDee Lamb. Hey, he would have thrown for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, and was very, very game manager looking. And to be honest, he's available, Jason. That is the #1 prerequisite. He is available. Dak Prescott is a bleeder. He's something of what I call a CP2 in the NBA. CP3 is Candace Parker, by the way. CP2 is Chris Paul, who continues to stay injured when it counts. And that is what he is in the NFL. Dak Prescott is a bleeder. You get punched in the mouth, Jason, you bleed a lot. Some people get punched in the mouth, they wipe it off, and it's done bleeding, they scab up. That is what a lot of people that are available do. He's not. He's a bleeder. He's hurt. He's always hurt. He's injured. He's injury prone. He's Anthony Davis, the NFL. And that's what it is. Cooper Rush is available, gives my team a chance to win.
Availability is the most important ability. Coaches say it all the time. So you're right there. I want to translate or give an interpretation of what you're saying. And this is what a lot of coaches like. You got a veteran player that's got $40 million a year contract. He's much harder to control. He's not as dependent on the coaching staff as a guy like Cooper Rush, who's trying to just prove that he's even worthy of playing in the NFL. So he's going to do exactly what Kellen Moore programs him to do. And some coaches like that. And particularly if now look, if you're Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and there's a proven track record of like, oh, when this guy freelances, good things happen, coaches just kind of grit their teeth and deal with it. Dak, I don't think has that reputation or creates that feeling like, oh, when he freelances and just kind of does what he wants to do, it skids off the road. And so maybe Kellen Moore just likes the control he has over Cooper Rush because Cooper Rush is dependent upon him and the system and won't ever really go off script, won't, change up any plays, doesn't have that kind of autonomy. And so maybe it's just he can control Cooper Rush, so he's more comfortable with Cooper Rush.
I look at it differently. I don't think it's control as much as it is willing to accept and do. I think Cooper Rush is more willing and accepting of his role than a Dak Prescott is. Not that he's too egotistical or too big or he's already got the bag and he's too good for you. I'm not saying Dak is that way. I've heard Dak is a good dude and all that. But I do see a completely different side of Kellen Moore and the team. If you look at the actual team, you see them how they are. And if they didn't like or ride with this guy, you would see a little bit of a contention on the sideline. You don't see it at all. And can we please take the headsets off the injured player? Like, we are putting these players on a pedestal of what is considered a hierarchy. So I want to be clear. Dak Prescott's not a damn coach. Either is a J.J. Watt or whoever it is that get injured and they got a headset on, and you think that is how enabling we are. We won't just tell a guy to go sit down somewhere and be injured. We want them to have a headset on and be part of the game plan. Like, they're really in tune. Like, oh, man, I know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. You're not the OC. You're not equal to us. So that is the problem. When that stops and the head coach and the OC say, you know what, dog, we don't need you to be on a headset because you're just a distraction, to be honest. How about you go over there and just support him as a leader off the field when he comes off? But let's get you off the damn headset. We got too many of this. I see this all over. I see it in college now. The guys are in the booth when they're hurt, like Zach Wilson was that year. I'm like, come on, man. We are giving them a spoon that's saying, you know what, dog, we're gonna hand feed you here. And
total different take on this. If I follow your narrative, maybe they want Dak on the headsets so that he has a better understanding of what the coaches are thinking during a game. And so that when he does get back on the field, perhaps he will have more buy-in when he sees things and hears things from their perspective. I think having Dak, having your quarterback while he's out and hurt in the communication loop, giving him that full 360 perspective. Because this isn't a college kid. This is a kid that you've given hundreds of millions of dollars to that you're stuck with, that you're stuck with for this foreseeable future. And so you just want to give him the complete picture and perhaps get some more buy-in from him.
Yeah, the stripes on a tiger don't change, though. You are what you are already, brother. You already bought into this cat. You either coach it or you allow it. When are we going to break the curse? When are we going to break this thing? Because he's with you. You've already paid him. What can he do? Demand a trade? Okay. We got a guy in here that looks like Opie right now who's 2-0, actually 3-0 as a starter in the NFL. And you're not available. And you're unavailable more than you are available. I would start changing the narrative and putting some onus on the ownership and saying, you know what, dog, we got you by the sack now. You start buying into what we do. We're not buying into you anymore. We've already paid you. So
why not give Jerry credit then, Jason? He is changing the narrative. He's the one that came out and said, I hope we have a quarterback controversy. He opened the door for this.
And he also waited and put him on a franchise tag and didn't pay him originally, similar to what Lamar Jackson's looking at doing. And it's like, Lamar Jackson's available, dang it. That's a huge difference, in my opinion. Lamar Jackson plays when he's hurt. He even asked to play when he's injured. That is what I give Lamar Jackson credit for over a lot of these cats. Dak Prescott will not do the thing that is required of him, which means stay healthy. Be smart. Live to play another down. I'm saying, Jason, we're going to be talking about Josh Allen here shortly. We're going to be talking about Trey Lance's. We're going to be talking about all these guys if they don't start playing smarter, which is going to make sure we lengthen their career. We're not trying to shorten their career. Why are we paying them then? Like, it's to me, it's an oxymoron by these owners and what we're doing. We're paying guys to hope in one hand, crap in the other, and see what fills up first. Like, no, let's not pay them then. Like, what are we paying them for? To hope they can play 3 years? Like, to me, it doesn't make sense. Let's see the result first. Let's give them somewhat of a good contract and money, and then let's see them win us a couple playoff games before we start anointing
Perfect segue into a conversation I want to have with you about ESPN and Lamar Jackson. I was watching Get Up this morning. They started talking about Lamar Jackson, and I was kind of hopeful because Mike Greenberg started out the segment talking about what motivates Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson loves his critics and he devours them. And I was like, oh, okay. Mike Greenberg done read my column, watching this show, heard me and JB talking about this yesterday. And so I was hopeful. And then Marcus Spears, I think it's contractually obligated. If you talk about a black quarterback, at some point during the segment, someone has to play the race card. Let's play the clip, and then I want me and you to discuss it.
Lamar Jackson is a black quarterback, okay? That has a lot to do with how he's talked about. Could you imagine if Baker Mayfield was having the career Lamar Jackson is having right now? If we would be having these conversations or talking about some anonymous GM talking about him winning 12 times. Like, I hate that I got to bring that up. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson, it's always, yeah, but. What is he going to do? Bro, the dude, to your point, G, what you just said, Lamar Jackson, and it should stop there. Right now, Lamar Jackson is the best player in the NFL. Right now. That's what he is. Why are we still having conversations about this dude not being a top 5 or a top 6 quarterback in the NFL? I tweeted out during the game, I said Lamar Jackson can't throw because I wanted to see what the reaction would be. You know, I actually had guys come on Twitter and Instagram and people in the sphere say, yeah, you're right, Swaggle. I was being sarcastic, America. That's what I was being. But when it comes, I'm just tired of having this conversation about what is Lamar. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. It should stop right there.
Go ahead, Danny.
I mean, he's absolutely right, because the issue when you talk about criticism of Lamar is it's often anonymous, because you can hide behind anonymity when your evaluation is rooted in bias and in preconceived notions. And obviously the issue throughout history that has confronted black quarterbacks in the NFL has been rooted in bias and preconceived notions. And ideally you start to break through.
Yeah, you know, to Marcus's point, black quarterbacks have always had their leadership abilities questioned, their intelligence belittled. And that's what you're seeing with Lamar Jackson. But I'll take it a step further, Marcus. Where's the camera at?
Right there.
If Lamar Jackson continues to play the way that he has these first 3 weeks of the season, he'll be the greatest quarterback this game has ever seen. No one's ever done it the way that he's done it. I'm proud of him. If he sees this message, I want him to know everything we talked about for those 3 years. He's going out there and doing it. Keep your foot on their neck. Man, I'm so proud of you. Keep doing your thing.
Okay, a lot to unpack here. I want to just start with Marcus Spears and this whole thing about this. They love this anonymous quote from some defensive coordinator or defensive assistant that said, you know, if he wins 12 MVPs, he's still not a QB1 to me. So they're assuming that the anonymous coach is a white guy, and that's justifying their racism. It's an anonymous coach. There's a lot of black defensive coaches in the NFL. There's probably a dozen, 10, or what, black defensive coordinators in the NFL. Black coaches are prevalent on the defensive side of the football, so we don't know what race the anonymous coach was, first and foremost. I want to enter that into the record. No one at this point, 3 games into this season, is arguing that Lamar Jackson isn't the best player in the league. The question is it sustainable? That's what you keep bringing up, and other critics of Lamar Jackson keep bringing up. They won't discuss that aspect. Is it sustainable? I happen to think that it is. I think he can do this for another 4 to 5 years. You don't. But you're not motivated by some hidden racism, and other people that are questioning this aren't motivated by some hidden racism. They're motivated by history, and the history says that running quarterbacks have shorter careers. I just want to address that part before I get to RG3. Go ahead, Jason.
So Dominic Foxworthy, or whatever his name is, probably one of the dumbest humans I've ever heard speak on a mic. Number one. RG3 actually tops him. He's even worse. I've heard him say some things that blow my mind. You know, I know some dirt on RG3. It's funny that he had a book written about him and it finally just seized out of nowhere. And now all of a sudden he's on every single show in America. He's on every single talk show and every single NFL college game day. He's on everything. I'm like, damn, where did he come from? But anyway, I love Warren Sapp's comments about him, how he talks about how bad he was. And then out of nowhere, he's the best guru out there ever. All of a sudden, it's crazy to me. I love that Warren Sapp came out and blasted him. But here's the thing about this thing. I've only coached black quarterbacks. I've coached 3 white quarterbacks in 20 years. One of them went to the NFL. I've coached nothing but black quarterbacks. And I have no hidden agenda. It is no left, right, red, blue. It's not a black and white thing. I really don't care. The best player plays, period. And I'm going to try to get that person to the next level in life and on the field. Now, having said that, why is this always an agenda on that show? It blows my mind. Why aren't we talking about what he's done in the crucial times of playing the sport and his position? He's done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing. And we keep bringing up black and white. And I'm like, well, why are we bringing up black and white? Because I'm going to bring some up, Jason. Is it really a black and white thing? Because as if I remember and I recall, and I'm closer to your age, Jason, than a lot of the audience probably is, I believe Ryan Leaf was crucified for being horrible. I believe Baker Mayfield has been crucified. I believe Carson Wentz has been crucified, and I am the one that does it. I do it every day. I think they're horrible. And how about Trent Dilfer, who won a Super Bowl? But even better than that, Bernard Pollard, who won a Super Bowl for the Ravens, was on my show and said Lamar Jackson is absolutely atrocious at playing the quarterback position. This is a black man who won a Super Bowl playing defense and said Lamar Jackson can't get out of a bad play and into a good one. And guess what? Guess what he said? Who could do that? Colin Kaepernick could do it. And they played against them in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, in the Super Bowl, where the Ravens beat the Niners in a great Super Bowl and the lights went out. And Colin was at the line of scrimmage making checks all day long. Bernard's on the sidelines for the Ravens games, and he said he's never heard Lamar Jackson make a check ever. So he is making the call that is into the helmet. He does it, and he tries to execute that play. By the way, he threw 4 touchdowns last week. One of them was a shovel pass. Let's pump our brakes.
I disagree with you about Lamar in terms of what he's done so far in his career and through 3 games. It's been impressive. I think it's sustainable. I think people need to open up their minds to a different way of attacking his quarterback position as it relates to Lamar Jackson. He may be the actual unicorn. I get why. You look at the history of Cam Newton and you look at the history of any of these running quarterbacks and say, you know what? It just doesn't work. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, that can put together these 10, 15, 20-year careers. It's harder to do that. I don't understand. I do understand these, it's like that Dan Graziano, you're right, Marcus. These dudes are scared to actually say what they think and know. Jeff Saturday sitting there, played in the NFL for a long time, played with Peyton Manning. He's scared, can't say it. You know what ESPN's, these shows do? They're playing 7-on-7. They're playing non-contact sports discussion. where nobody has the balls to disagree with Marcus Spears or any of these guys that play the race card, and because they don't want to be called racist, and they know it's going to be an unfair discussion. And so Marcus Spears, Dominique Foxworth, RG3 can do all this little racial talk because they know there's going to be no resistance. They're playing 7-on-7. It's not real tackle football. They're cowards. They're scared. I get it. JB, and I hear you talking about the terrible quarterbacks that you've criticized. You can go check my resume. I criticized Joe Montana when Joe Montana was good. I used to argue John Elway, and still believe John Elway was a better quarterback than Joe Montana, and that you could take John Elway and put him in any era of football and he's going to excel, including the one we have today. And so if Joe Montana can be criticized and no one accused me of being racist, there are people that criticize John Elway. There are people, he didn't win without Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis carried him. He couldn't win till the end of his career. You could criticize John Elway without being accused of being racist. RG3 ends this discussion and no one says a word. Everybody, just co-signs this. If he plays the way he does the next 3 weeks, he's going to be the greatest of all time. When I heard this, I wanted to pass out and say, this man ain't got to win a Super Bowl. And he's going to be the greatest of all time? We don't even have to add that stipulation. We got Tom Brady sitting here with 7 Super Bowls, and all RG3's got to do is keep being a beast in the regular season? Are you kidding me?
Look, I stopped watching ESPN last week when Dominique Foxworth said Tom Brady's overrated. So when I heard him say that out of his mouth, I recorded it, and I'm like, dude, I'm done listening to this crap. Let me tell you something. Doug Flutie, horrible in the NFL. All he did was run around. Steve Young, horrible in the NFL. All he did was run around until they stopped and became pocket passers. Steve Young lost playoff games and could not get past the Cowboys until he became a pocket passer. He won a Super Bowl throwing 5 touchdowns, not running 5 touchdowns, throwing 5 touchdowns from the pocket to John Taylor, Jerry Rice, and that Roger Craig or whoever the back was. He won a Super Bowl when he became a passer. Randall Cunningham had his best year when he became a passer. So did Dante Culpepper. So I don't want to hear the black and white thing. One is a runner because he's athletic. One is a pocket guy because he's non-athletic. I've seen some freaks of nature at white boy quarterbacks. Josh Allen's not a regular white boy. Either is Aaron Rodgers. Either is a lot of these dudes. And we can go back and forth. But the bottom line is when you throw the ball on time from the pocket, you stay healthy. You earn the bag that these owners want to pay you because they know you're going to stay upright and you're going to be at practice every day and you're going to be healthy. And our investment gets a return. Other than we're hoping our investment gets a return by every single time you run. You should see some of these GMs that I know, buddies of mine, they're like this in the press box every time Josh Allen runs a football because they know it's that fast from ending. And you don't think Lamar Jackson's GMs and Ozzie Newsome and everybody else that's involved is like, oh, shoot, man, what is going to happen here? Are we paying this dude or not? This is the thing, Jason. I want to separate the race thing from the real thing. We love in today's society, we want to nurture. We've gotten rid of masculinity, right? We want to get rid of all the alpha males in America anyway. So we want to nurture everybody. We're so soft. We want to say Lamar Jackson is hugging babies. He's a great human. He does everything. He gives back. He donates. I get that. I love that about him. That doesn't mean you're the greatest quarterback. That doesn't mean you earn my business results. And there has to be a separation of reality and likeness. We can like a lot of people. That doesn't mean that they're earning us results. And that is where we've become in society. We want to like everything and retweet everything compared to understanding the truth. And the truth hurts these people. But I guarantee it'll set you guys free, man. If you just trust me on this. I ain't been missing that. I haven't missed on a quarterback. I'm just telling you. And I haven't missed one. Let's continue this conversation with RG3 in the next 7 to 8 weeks when it gets closer to playoff time. And I love all your fans and critics. You know, Jason, I love our haters. They're our biggest fans. And having said that, you know, I love some of the comments because they say, they come at me with all these things and I just laugh. I'm like, man, please show me your resume so I can continue the conversation because I know you're serving donuts in the drive-thru at McDonald's and I know you know more than me. But having said that, you know, we never understand what it takes to win this thing unless you've been there, done it. You know, the Mina Kimes and all these other world that hates me and, you know, we go back and forth on Twitter. I think they blocked me by now, her and Sarah Spain. Oh, unbelievable. Really? You're going to tell the Raiders who to draft and what quarterback to take? Like, when the hell did you take a 3-step drop in the NFL? I'm curious. And I'm not against women. I love women, and I'm the farthest thing from being sexist. But really? You're going to sit there and critique us on how and why and what a quarterback should do at the highest level? It blows my mind, and people really defend it. Like, they really think she knows what she's talking about. It's probably one of the worst takes ever, listening to her speak about quarterbacks. And I'm just like, wow.
Listen, I agree with you there with Kimes and Spain or whatever, but I get what they're doing, and I get why they're doing it. What I don't understand are these men. There was 5 guys sitting on that. Mike Greenberg, Jeff Saturday, Dan Graziano, RG3, and Marcus Spears. Let me give alleged men sitting in there having a conversation, and it was an emasculated conversation because they won't even deal with the real issues. Is it sustainable? It's like they're boxers. I'm the toughest guy in the neighborhood, but every time I box, I want to wear headgear to protect myself. I don't really want to get down like Mike Tyson and these other people and really step in the ring. And so let me put this headgear on, and I'm going to play the race card and make sure no one can hit me back, because if you do, I'm going to call you racist, or if you do, I'm going to call you a sellout. They don't want to have the real discussion. They want to play 7-on-7 non-contact flag football, and they want to put on headgear when it gets into the boxing ring. They're afraid of having a real, authentic, manly conversation. This is what has happened, JB. We've taken the conversation from the barbershop to the beauty shop. All of these dudes are sitting around getting their hair braided and hair colored, sitting at the beauty shop, gossiping like women, all this emotional conversation instead of talking about the real facts. They're not man enough for a real conversation. That's why they play the race card.
I got to think. I've heard it. I got a little bug in me. I got some good friends that work at that network, and hopefully Dan Orlovsky's going to join me on my show this week. But I got a couple good friends there, and I'm sure you do. And it's not everybody, but let me tell you something. Who's missing from that 5-men panel that you saw there? Did you notice anyone missing? Have you noticed there's one person on that channel that actually speaks the truth, and they have started to separate themselves from that man? And he's not on a lot of these shows that he used to be on. Bart Scott actually tells those cats the real and the wrong, and they don't like it at all. And you can tell. And I would not be shocked if you don't see Bart Scott anymore, because Bart Scott actually tells them, contrary to belief, the real way it is. And I've reached out to Bart, and he's actually a fan. And I'm like, dude, he's the one that they don't like to hear from. He calls out RG3 on the set. He calls out these cats, and I love it. And that is the best take on ESPN, in my opinion, is Bart Scott. And I've recently noticed he's not on the panel no more. He's not there no more. And I'm wondering, like, why is that? And it's funny, man. I really wouldn't want to. I want to watch that, and maybe it's something for the future for you to look at. But I really want to see where Bart Scott ends up, because I haven't seen him, and I haven't seen any takes recently. And why wouldn't he be on that panel right there? If you're talking about having some real brothers on that panel, why isn't Bart Scott on that panel, the strongest voice in the room on that channel? Very, very interesting. And I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there in the wind.
All right, JB, I got to go. Appreciate you.
Talk to you.
Great job as always.